Welcome to the 10th episode of Cheap Shot News. Hi, everyone. I am Zach. Thank you for returning. If you're a returning viewer, such as Teresa, who I think has watched most of my videos, if you're not, welcome anyways. I can't believe I made it to 10 episodes. Really, it wasn't that difficult. I mostly just recorded videos once every week, and then we got to 10. So, I mean, if I can do it, you probably can't do it because you don't have the fancy equipment that I do. I'm not going to tell you how easy it was to acquire this because I really don't need the competition. Anyways, today we have a lot to get to, so let's just get into it. With the sad news, unfortunately, as you've probably already heard, with great sadness, we lose another celebrity to 2016. Carrie Fisher of Star Wars fame died this morning after suffering a heart attack on December 23rd. So, although she is gone, she will not be forgotten. She will be remembered as her iconic role of Princess Leia in Star Wars, like I mentioned, but also as the premier celebrity crush of nerds worldwide. So thank you very much, Carrie Fisher. Thank you for your portrayal of Princess Leia. And most importantly, thank you for wearing that awesome bikini. And what was that? Jedi? It was Jedi. It was Return of the Jedi. Man crushes all over the place. And your hair buns. So we will miss you. Thank you so much for what you've done for women and also for the science fiction drama. For science fiction drama, science fiction genre. That's the word I wanted to go with. So, as many of you are probably thinking at this point in time, it's very sad, but what is the details with the future Star Wars movies? Well, basically, just to give you a heads up if you weren't familiar with this, filming for Star Wars Episode 8, which we don't have a title for as of yet, was actually completed in July of this year. So she was done filming, so we're all good to go on that end. That being said, there's a lot of speculation. I don't believe there's been any announcements made by Lucasfilm or Disney at this point in time, but unless they do like reshoots or they do something in post-production, it is speculated that Lucasfilm won't acknowledge the death of the character Leia or what happened to Leia until episode 9, which doesn't begin filming until 2018. So again, just want to say my condolences to Carrie Fisher's family. I know her mother. She still has a living mother and daughter. So definitely a sad day. 2016 just couldn't let us go without one more in the end, it seems like. So moving on to lighter side of the force. See what I did there? Someone I talked about last week who apparently I've probably been pronouncing his name wrong the entire time. Denis Villeneuve is, I believe, how it's actually pronounced. I was saying Denis Villeneuve last week, but he is the director of Arrival and Sicario and the soon to be coming this next year Blade Runner 2049. He is apparently being targeted by Legendary Pictures to do the Dune reboot. So if you're not familiar with Dune, Dune is this epic sci-fi novel series, probably one of the most well-known sci-fi series for books, and it's been tried and failed on several occasions to become television show, major motion picture. I believe Sting was in the one that was made in the 80s. Sorry for the lack of research on that. Anyways, it's a epic sci-fi novel, and mostly what's interesting to me here is that Denny is basically skyrocketing up lists for studios for their directors. I mean, he did two great movies. I discussed this last week, and in Sicario and then Arrival, both big fans of, and now he's doing Blade Runner, a big title, and then potentially a very big title and what has been an anticipated movie slash reboot for a really long time. So it just proves what he has done so far and how much trust the studios have in him. Now, I'm not the biggest reader. I'm pretty sure I've said that in the past, But basically, from what I'm familiar with, Dune is basically a huge science fiction world, well, not world, galaxy, basically stretching whole galaxies with a mixture of action, creatures, and politics and such. If I'm wrong with that, definitely let me know. Maybe I'm completely thinking of something else. Good Lord, I hope I'm not thinking of Jupiter Ascending because that movie was terrible. It was terrible, guys. So, very excited about that. I always like big sci-fi, huge worlds could potentially move into a lot of different things. I think there's a severe lack of huge sci-fi epics in Hollywood. So I mean, we have Star Wars and we have Star Trek, which we don't really know where Star Trek's going anymore. And then, Aliens kind of doing its thing again, which I'll get into in a second. And then after that, it's just like you have this entire mystical realm of possibilities with galaxies and creatures and beings and all the different stuff you could get into that. I just feel like it's very underutilized in Hollywood. So I'm looking forward to another big sci-fi epic movie franchise that is a little new and a little different. Hopefully not too much political stuff because we saw how that worked out with the Star Wars 1, 2, and 3. So, like I mentioned, the Alien Covenant trailer was released, you guys, and this is a movie that is ranked number 3 on my list of most anticipated movies of 2017. And if you haven't seen that list, that's because it hasn't been published yet because I'm still working on it. But hopefully I can have it out by the end of the year. But that's seriously something I'm working on. And you guys, if you haven't watched this trailer, I will take a second while you watch it. Probably a link below as well. Well, go ahead. Go ahead. It's about 2 minutes, 30 seconds, something like that. I'm actually not going to wait that long. You guys know how to use the pause button? Yeah, pause me and then come back. Cool, we're on the same page. So, if you watched it, oh my goodness. I'm so excited for this movie. This movie is going to be what I've been hoping for, hopefully, fingers crossed, from the Alien franchise. I will say, I think Prometheus gets a lot of hate, too much criticism. That being said, it wasn't a great movie. It definitely had its faults, but I think it got a little too much. And maybe Alien Covenant will actually resolve some of the perceived issues that we had with Prometheus, because that actually happened a little bit with the original Alien movie. People thought there were not necessarily plot holes, but inconsistencies and things like that were actually resolved later on that were quote-unquote planned. So I hope we get that. But part of the biggest reason I'm super excited is I really love the cast. I really like the group of people that they have in this movie with, Michael Fassbender coming back. And for some reason, James Franco is in it, like, just randomly. And let me get you some other names, because I am terrible at this game. Catherine Watterson, if you've watched the most recent, not Harry Potter, Fantastic Beasts, she was in Fantastic Beasts. Noomi Rapace is coming back. It looks like Guy Pearce is probably going to make kind of a cameo as Peter Wayland. Billy Crudup, I believe that's how you pronounce his name. He was Dr. Manhattan from The Watchmen. Danny McBride's in it. Just a lot of, not like A-listers, but a lot of good character actors and things like that. And I think based on the trailer that you watched, I think Catherine Watterson's going to be good in this. Also, just the fact that they're bringing back some horror to the franchise. Aliens is probably the best movie so far, but that was action thriller. Alien was good in the fact that it was that jump scare and the tension, and you're just kind of sitting in your seat with your hands clenched. And I'm hoping this brings that back. And it looks like it's going to be bloody, and it looks like it's going to be scary, and people aren't going to know what's going on. And I'm so excited for it, guys. I hope it does well. I think it will do well. I think I shouldn't even say that. It will definitely do well at the box office. Whether or not it does well with critics and fans is another topic. But I'm having a hard time controlling my excitement and anticipation. So, moving on to another trailer. So talking about trailers is kind of interesting just because I could, I guess, project them kind of over top, but I hopefully you're coming here to actually listen to me talk about things. The thing about trailers is they really bring your attention to something that you may have known about but didn't really grasp the full vision of it. So that's why trailers are important. At least to me, is because they give you a glimpse into the vision of what the creator, director, whoever was trying to do. So, there's a show coming out, which I don't talk about shows a ton just because there's so many shows and I can't keep up with all of them. But every once in a while, a show will come out that really catches my attention. Now, this is something that I've known about for a while and we've seen trailers for in the past, but this new trailer really, really got me. So, the show is called Taboo. It's starring Tom Hardy, and really interesting. This says it was actually written by Tom Hardy and his father, Chips Hardy. Nice to meet you, Chips. Anyways, it's called Taboo. It's an 8-part miniseries. It's about Tom Hardy's character. What is his name? James Mullaney, who faces off against the East India Trading Company in the early 1800s to basically build his own shipping empire. And if you're not familiar with the East India Trading Company, you need to do more history or you need to watch the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. One of the two. If you're like me, I'd just watch the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Basically, the East India Trading Company was the probably biggest corporation the world had ever seen at the time that it came along. Pretty much it controlled the trading routes from India to China to wherever. I believe pretty much the entire ocean. It can control trading routes. So back in the 1800s, as you can imagine, trading was a big deal, and really the only way to do it was through ships. So obviously that's a big deal. What really got me about this is just kind of the feel of the show, though. And again, I think I mentioned this, but links below for the trailer. It's just that it's that old world England feel, and it's the feel of basically lawlessness like the Old West, but a little more classy than that with England. And Tom Hardy, good Lord, is he an imposing, just ridiculous human being. Not only physically imposing, but he just has that look to him of he's not messing around. And again, watch the trailer so you know what I mean. But he's got that just the look to him of get out of my way or I'll kill you where I stand. Or where you stand, I should say. Or both. You're both probably standing when you die. And it just has a raw feel that I haven't seen for a while. And just so you know, it is coming out, I believe it's coming out in the US on FX on January 10th. I believe it premieres in the UK, BBC One, on the 7th. So, super excited about that. Unfortunately, I do not have cable because I am a poor millennial. So I have Netflix and every other streaming service you can imagine. But I will definitely be looking for that. I'm assuming it's going to come out on one of the streaming services I have eventually because, like I said, I have pretty much all of them. So I will see it eventually. Super excited about that. It's raw like I haven't seen in a while on television. And not like, I was going to say not like Breaking Bad, but kind of like Breaking Bad in a raw sense. But obviously 1800s Britain. So, super excited. Let me know what you think about that. Trailer again is below. That's only like the 8th time I've mentioned that. So to wrap up, and as you guys may have not noticed, I'm trying to keep these a little shorter. But to wrap up, I'm going to talk about some potential spoilers for Marvel. So again, potential spoilers. These are speculation. Came across a website, screengeek.net, and they have some articles, and apparently they're kind of known for speculation, but they've had a past of actually doing pretty well and getting things correct. So again, this is speculation, but potential spoilers. Some of these things could indeed end up being true. So I'm going to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and Thor. So Again, speculation could end up being true, but here we go. These are some good things if you're curious about plot details. So, Guardians Volume 2, Ego, which is the planet, which also could potentially be Kurt Russell's character, is going to be apparently the main villain, and then the antagonist, and then Taserface is going to be a secondary villain. Sylvester Stallone and Sharon Stone will be playing members of the Ancients. Some of the additions to the Guardians of the Galaxy group are apparently going to be Yondu and Nebula. Yondu doesn't surprise me, even though him and Peter kind of have this, odd relationship. That one doesn't surprise me that much. I could see that realistically happening. Nebula is the one that kind of surprises me a little bit, though, just because how she ended so poorly, losing her arm and then jumping onto another ship and flying away and things like that. So obviously, Nebula is going to have some issues with like Gamora and obviously the other Guardians of the Galaxy team. But I am excited to see Karen Gillan kind of become a bigger role in that as well. So we're going to see apparently the Nova Corps, which has been teased in the past. So that's kind of a big part of the Marvel space universe is the Nova Corps. Groot is going to remain fun size for most of the movie. We won't actually see Thanos, but he'll be referenced. Not super surprising. They're going to leave Thanos until, I believe, the next Avengers movie. I mean, we've already seen him, but we're going to see him in all his glory and might in the next Avengers movie. There's not going to be any Infinity Stones in this, but it's going to be referenced apparently. And then for Thor Ragnarok, this goes into a little more interesting, a little more detail, I feel like, and could be potentially a little more spoilers. The movie's going to be a little more serious, which I'm writing about this in my article as well. If you're not familiar with Ragnarok and what it symbolizes in Norse culture, I'd suggest Googling it. It's essentially an end-all to the gods, like this coming apocalypse, basically, that ends up killing the gods. Sorry, I'm not super well-versed in Norse mythology, but that's what I'm familiar with. Now, I looked it up as well. I couldn't find any specific reference to Ragnarok in the Marvel Universe. Now, there is a character called Ragnarok who's basically a clone of Thor, but I don't think that's in this regard. I think that's, this movie doesn't have anything to do with that. So, we're going to see a lot of different characters. This is going to be like a mini Avengers movie with our more mystical characters, including, obviously, Thor. Doctor Strange is apparently going to make a cameo. Whether or not how big that cameo is yet to be seen. Thor might get into a different love interest other than Jane Foster, and the name of Valkyrie is the character. Apparently, Hulk is transferred to the planet Hulk planet where he has to do battle. Man, I can't remember anything. But he's put there by Loki in some of Loki's schemes. Loki also works with Hela, who is basically the ruler of Norse mythology underworld. So they work together to try to, overthrow. Well, actually, they do. If you guys remember from the last Thor movie, I think they show Loki on the throne. So Hela successfully helps Loki to take over the throne of Asgard. Apparently, while that happened, Odin's been living on Earth, just kind of chilling. And then we see some of the other warriors that we saw in the first, I think in Thor. I don't know if they're in Thor: The Dark World, like Sif and Heimdall returns. Major spoilers, Heimdall probably dies, but I knew a lot of people that thought that based on kind of Thor's visions and stuff. So, the big thing about this one is this leads kind of to the last Infinity Stone, at least that is speculated, that let's see here. The soul gem will basically be given from Loki to Thanos directly, and then Loki tells Thanos of where the other gems are located. So this is really one of the big send-offs in regards to really coming up with Avengers: The Infinity War. So this is going to be one of the last films. Actually, it might be the last. I'd have to check into that. I don't think Black Panther comes before. So yeah, Thor Ragnarok might be the last one before Infinity War. So this is kind of the culmination before we get into the big battle. So again, this is speculation. Thanks for ScreenGeek.net for posting this really awesome article, actually. And as always, I'll post it below and you can check it out. Doesn't have a lot of a lot of their input on it, just more of straight up information. So I always appreciate that. It's an easy read. So very much like that. Again, super excited for this. Actually makes me more excited for Thor Ragnarok than I was previously. It was previously on my list. It's fairly low on my list of most anticipated movies in 2017. I don't know if this is enough to bump it up, but in regards to the actual rankings, but I'm definitely a little more excited about it now, having some at least speculation on plot details to come. So again, check out the links below. That's going to wrap it up for me. This one actually went a little longer than some of my more recent ones have. But thank you very much for watching. You can see more of my videos probably on the, right-hand side here, whatever side it is. And you can also check us out at cheapshotcinema.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, Cheap Shot Cinema. And yeah, if you like us, like and subscribe below. Thank you again for coming, and you guys have a great day and Happy New Year. Bye.